Good morning to all ShinyConf attendees. In this panel, we will present Anastasia Rebolledo Renne, a student of Industrial Engineering at the Universidad Austral de Chile. Juan Venegas Gutierrez, professor at the Universidad Austral de Chile and Universidad San Sebastián, in the areas of statistics, data science, among others. So today we will present a work that we have been developing for some time, which emerged as a collaboration with the Hospital Base Valdivia in Chile. So in this work, we implemented the GRISP-DM methodology as it allows us to develop a work cycle from the understanding of the real problem to deployment of a solution in the cloud. And this way, we started with the understanding of the problem about the forecast of demand of urgency. Then we collect the data regarding available data that could describe this situation. Once the data was obtained, we modeled the aggregate demand of the level of urgency to finally deploy a solution in the RStudio software that could be deployed in the cloud. So next, Anastasia will show you in detail the dashboard we are working on.
So now I'm going to show the dashboard we made. The first thing we can see here is the main menu where we have graphs and stats about the data in general. So the first thing we can see here is a time series that shows the daily demand for urgent care in the Hospital Base Valdivia from the very beginning of 2019 to the end of 2022. You can also filter here and see which the data closer, and also choose over here at certain time periods, 6 months, 3 months, etc. Also over here, we have the mean, the standard deviation, and the symmetry. These stats have a lot to do with the histogram we have over here. For example, the demand is right in between these two peaks. And also the standard deviation is pretty high, and that makes sense looking at the histogram because the data is grouped in two values. Then we have the emergency care according to cause, where we can see which causes were the more frequent. For example, here we have injuries and poisoning and also respiratory system problems. Then we have the emergency care by age, where we can see which age groups were the most attended in the urgent care. Almost 50% of the people correspond to the age group of adults from 15 to 64 years old, followed by 65 and over. Then in the second menu, we have the annual statistics, where we can compare the 4 different years we have data of. And for example, here we can compare a certain time period, for example, the winter months or special days like Christmas or 18 de septiembre, which is our national day. And also here we can filter which years we want to see. Then we have histograms for each year. The main thing we can see here is that the amount of people that arrive at the Hospital Base Valdivia urgent care was more than in the following years, and also that after 2019, the frequency starts to increase again, almost coming back to the pre-pandemic rates. Then we have the emergency care according to cause and also by year. something we can emphasize here is that with the arrival of COVID in 2020, the amount of causes because of respiratory system problems decreased, and after the pandemic in 2022, it raises again. Then we have the emergency care by age, where we can see that almost all age groups demand decreases with the pandemic and it raises again, except for the group of adults from 15 to 64 years old, where the demand only decreases over time. Then we thought it was interesting to have a closer look at the COVID emergency cases. And in this time series, we can clearly see the relation between the general demand to the arrival of COVID to the city of Valdivia. And also, we can see that over time, as the cases of COVID decreases and also it becomes less relevant, the demand in the urgency care raises again, almost coming back to the pre-pandemic rates. Then we have this pie chart that shows which age group was arriving more at the urgent care because of COVID, where we can see that more than 50% of the people affected by it were people from 15 to 64 years old, followed by people from 65 and over. And also, we can see this in this histogram that it makes sense for children under 1 year and the group of children from 5 to 14 years to be the least frequent, because we can, comparing it to the histogram, we can see that the demand tends to zero. So most of the days there weren't cases of children of these ages with COVID. Finally, we wanted to do a demand forecast, and for that we made a model validation first with a neural network and also with a gradient busting machine prediction. And in these two graphs, we can compare the prediction of each model to the actual data, which is in blue. Something we can emphasize here is that the neural network captures better the general tendency of the curve, but the gradient busting machine captures better the ups and downs of the daily demand. And then we, as we wanted to have a criteria to choose which model was better. So we choose these error metrics. And according to the numbers, the gradient busting machine prediction was better than the others. So here in this menu of demand forecast, we can see the forecast it makes for the months of January and February of 2023. Thank you so much for listening.